Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Notice is hereby given that the Board of Adjustments of the City of Castle Hills is meeting on Monday, August 28th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. in Castle Hills City Hall. This meeting is called to order and there is a quorum present. The consent agenda, is there a motion? It's made by Mr. Lopez. Is there a second? Thank you. Second has been made. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Item number 3, I'm going to open a public hearing in a moment on an application from James Buckingham to accommodate a new storage shed within 20 feet of the street of the corner of a property located at 100 Cass Hills, City Block 508C, Block 1, Lot 1, contrary to Section 50-64 area regulations, side yard. Minimum side yard setback for all buildings and structures shall be at least 10 feet, except on a corner lot where it must be no less than 20 feet of the Castle Hills Local Code of City Ordinances. It is now 5:31. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone wish to speak on this item in the public hearing portion of the hearing? Once again, is there anyone wishing to speak during the public session? Thank you. It is now 5:51. And since there is no one to speak, the public hearing is now closed. Discussion and possible action on application. As formerly read above, item 3 and 4 are the same. This is the action item on this. Is there a motion from the board to put this up for discussion? Is there a motion from the board to put this up for discussion? Since there's no motion for the board to discuss this item, it is removed from the agenda as denied. Item number 5, public hearing on an application from John Coots to construct detached garage encroaching on the rear setbacks with a height higher than the height of the main building, encroaching impermeable coverage, single A-zone lot, property located at 217 Halberton, that is in exception to any number of ordinances that are listed on the published agenda. It is now 5:32. I'm going to open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this in the public hearing portion? Is there anyone wish to speak on this in the public hearing portion? Since there is no one to speak during the public hearing portion, it is now 5:33 and the public hearing portion is closed. Is there a motion from the board to put this up for discussion? Cassidy's made the motion. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Aiken. Let's see. Mr. Koontz? Fine, thank you. Come right down and.
Good evening, everyone. I assume you've seen my application and the requests that I have made, and just in a nutshell, there's kind of a crummy little 20 by 20 garage existing on my property that was there when I bought it 7 years ago. And it already is on one side, it's too close to the existing house. It's only 3 feet away. And then on the other side, it is only 3 feet away from the alleyway. So it's already in violation of the ordinances and the codes. What I'm proposing doing is demolishing that garage and building a new structure that's substantially bigger, but I would like for it to be set a little bit further back off the street so it's not quite as close to the house, but I would like to maintain that 3-foot setback along the alleyway. I have some photos, either hard copies or on a thumb drive, that I can show you of the existing house and alleyway, or garage and alleyway at this.
Louis, are you here still?
I can either pass the photos around, or if you want to
Can you load a thumb drive in for Mr. Koontz? Is that possible? See if you can show us his pictures, please.
Garage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's 6 photos.
Just so we're clear on something for the board, the ordinances that we're discussing the variances on are height, setback, and impervious cover. We don't usually have impervious cover hearings in front of us, but Louis will tell us. I was trying to look and see if we don't have it. Louis, what is the percentage of impervious cover? Thank you very much. And how much does this move off that? Okay.
I believe it gets us to about 38 or 39%.
Okay.
And when you see the photos, you'll see this driveway, if you can see right there. That is actually an easement that I have to use that easement to get into my driveway for those garages, as you can see right there. That is not on my property. That is what the garbage trucks, that's the alley just to the right of that detached garage. So I have to drive through that, and that photo doesn't capture sort of the rise and fall of the road right there. It kind of goes up and then it goes abruptly down, and it has kind of a lip and an edge, and it sort of half floods when it rains and things. So I would like to avoid that altogether and basically pave or put concrete down straight out about where that tree is, you would see. And so that's my property there at the edge of that curb.
Brian, you just took our picture away. Let me ask a question. Do you plan on taking up any portion of the existing concrete? Or will this be in addition to that?
I will
concrete
not
we
be
see?
taking up any portion of the easement, the concrete. I will be taking up the asphalt that is on my property there. I will not actually be touching any of the easements property.
And if you take up the asphalt, what percentage, obviously what you're adding offsets that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So again, it's a little tricky to get in and out of the driveway. A couple of my cars are kind of low. And so backing in or even nose in is very difficult. What you can't really see is because the garbage trucks go down there, there is obviously sort of a center hump in the road that makes it a little tricky. Here's if you go, could you go forward a picture or two? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's going to be next. Might have a little more clarity on that.
I personally just got, I just got the perspective. I'm sorry. I thought I was standing on a different position on the property, and there
Okay.
we go.
So that's from the street looking at that area there. So you can see the alley on the right-hand side. And you can see where I would like to bring the garage out from, or I'm sorry, the driveway out from, basically straight out from where that photo is, back in towards the garage. The detached garage that I plan to build would be roughly where that current one is, but it would be set back approximately 8 more feet or 9 more feet, I think.
Will this require an additional curb cut on the street?
So I don't think we'll need a curb cut. So I think we might be able to do a shave down. So, but yeah, and then if you could go another picture or go forward again, if please. So that's, you can see the edge of the detached garage. That's 3 feet from the setback. And so that's on that edge, on the alley edge, I would like to maintain that distance to the alley instead of 5 feet, which would bring the building over 2 more feet to the left. Then if you could go another photo, please. That's just a slightly different angle of that. So that's the distance between the house and the detached garage currently, which is only 3 feet. With the new plans, we'd be at more like 5 to 6 feet away at the closest, and that would be eave to eave, not structure to structure. So in a perfect world, we'd have a little more distance than that is currently. And then the last photo is going to be roughly the same. Yeah, just another angle of the same thing.
Do you have any renditions of the product?
I do. In fact, I think I submitted them, but they're also on that thumb drive.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, whoops. Yes, you can do more with the Acrobat Reader. That would be from inside my house, looking towards the yard side of my garage. And then if you go to the next photo, please. I'm sorry. And that that is most likely going to be the side facing. Yes, that's going to be, well, it's kind of a reverse view, but that would be the side facing my neighbor's yard in essence. And then if you could show another one. Go to the top, the yellow, the sand disc. Yes, sir. You'll have to forgive me, my eyesight's not great. That's in essence an overhead view of what the garage would look like. And you can see also the goal for the new driveway. And then, yeah, try front elevation. Same, and then if you maybe try the next one. That's actually, I'm sorry, that's actually the side that would be facing my neighbors. And then if you go to the next one. We've gone through several iterations of design, so I apologize.
How far off the alley will this sit?
3 feet.
3 feet off the alley. Okay.
Yes, sir. I think I might have submitted in the packet, if it's not on that thumb drive, sort of a street view of what the building would look like. See if I have, yes, I have.
Can you just pass it down, Ryan, please?
That is a drawing of what it would look like from the street. I'm trying to build a nice looking building just in case I ever did sell the house and someone wanted to convert it to a mother-in-law suite or something like that, or at least a portion of it. It'll have a plumbing hookup because I intend on having a sink in there, and probably an AC system as well.
Thank you. Louis, if this is approved, it still goes through all the permitting process and inspections and blah, 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 and so forth. Thank you.
Yeah, go for it.
Mr. Lopez, do you have any questions this evening for Mr. Koontz?
I do. So is it the same size garage you're proposing to build, or is it bigger?
Quite a bit bigger. The current one is 20 by 20. This one would be 27 by 53.
And then when you said you're pouring the concrete, are you going to pour new concrete on the easement itself also?
We're not going to touch the easement at all. Yeah, that's actually, because since it's not on my property, we have no intent of dealing with it. So
And then how about the approach? Is it going to be connected to the easement?
no, there'll be a small curb basically separating the alley and the easement from my property.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Ms. Olivares?
Thank you.
So, don't guess we know if the current structure had come before this committee. Was it built? I mean, the 3 foot existing, had that been approved or was it just done? Or do we know?
That was probably built in the early.
Yeah, that's what I was
50s,
thinking.
right.
Okay, so you're keeping the 3 foot in place. You said it's gonna be wider, but I thought you said earlier it's actually gonna be closer to your roof line. Or you said it's gonna be further from your roof line.
Further from the roof line. So the garage itself that's there.
But you're gonna push it back.
I'm going to push it back. The front of it
Okay.
will be another 8 or 9 feet back.
And I don't guess this matters, but you've got a couple garage doors on your house. Is that a garage or is that not a garage?
I have a lot of cars. So, yeah, they're all used as
Okay.
garage spaces. for
That's
cars.
nice. It's not part of that. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, it is. Thank you.
Justin?
What will be the total width of concrete that's going to be from, I guess, the driveway closest to your current garage with the right of way alley? I'm just trying to picture how much concrete is going to be sitting with the alley and then your strip.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the alley's not mine, so
I understand, yeah.
So it's effectively going to be about 3 car widths. So it's going to be about 30 feet.
So the alleyway plus yours is 3 car widths.
Not the
No,
alley.
yours is going to be 3
Mine-
car.
Mine alone. will be
Okay,
that
and then
much.
what do you think the current alleyway is?
It's probably 20 feet.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a pretty wide alley entrance. So.
have you, when you do these renderings, did you ever think about maybe, I guess, cutting some of your grass, I guess driving this way and then coming instead of doing a straight shot in? Is that something that could have been done?
I'm sorry, tell me which.
If you come in from the right of way
Mhm.
and then kind of just turn a little bit instead of doing what you're proposing, a straight shot from your,
So as I mentioned earlier, that, and you can kind of get a little bit of an idea for it. There's a ridge at the top of that.
yes. So I guess what I'm trying to say is using that concrete that's there now
Mhm.
and then coming off of that instead of going through the humps and gravel.
We never really contemplated that because that pavement or that concrete is already getting super broken up. And I'm just tired of driving through it every day. And the trucks just seem to destroy it. I've actually we even contemplated asking the city to allow us to pave the alley and have the entrances on the side to the garage, on the alley side. But that was prohibitive cost wise, not to mention, because it was going to be about 150 feet of paving or 140 feet of concrete or something like that. And on top of that, we were going to run into the same issue, which is it's going to get destroyed by the garbage trucks and stuff. So with regard to reorienting the drive, I'm really just trying to avoid altogether that easement drive because it's pretty torn up. And again, it kind of does this. And I'm not really sure how we could angle it better to avoid any of that. And I apologize for not having better photos, but I think if I'd taken a better photo, you'd understand that it's really kind of a 90-degree angle. You can't really come in at any other angle. That's a lip. That edge to my yard is about probably 16 or 18 inches at the tallest point. So we'd have to build up the yard somehow to make it work. I just don't even know how we could do that, to be honest.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Coons.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
The motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of approval? Say aye. Aye. All opposed? Yeah, it's a package. Yes, sir. Okay, let's pull the vote off. That's okay. That's my fault. I'm sorry, Justin. Point 32 is the approved and he's asking for 3.8. Instead of 32%, he's asking for 38%. There's a 6% variance.
33%, sir.
33, so there's a 35% variance. Okay. Okay, let's start again. There's a motion on the table. It's been seconded. All in favor of approval, say aye. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next item is a public hearing on an application from George Mary to use an existing building in the rear of the primary residence to be occupied full-time other than domestic help caregiver on a property located at 105 Townview Drive. Contrary to section 50-61 use regulations, habitable accessory uses shall not be rented but may occupied by an occasional non-paying guest and by full-time employees living on the premises who function as domestic help or caregivers in the Castle Hills local cordon of ordinances. I'm before you come up, sir. I'm sorry. You can stand there. You don't need to sit down. Just hang on a second. We've got this little thing we have to go through. I'm going to open the public hearing portion of this item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in the public hearing portion of this item? Anyone like to speak? The request was made at 5:50. At 5:51, since there was no one to be heard, the public hearing was suspended. Now, is there a motion to talk about this, please, on the table? Thank you. Mr. Lopez has made the motion. Is there a second? Thank you. Justin's made the second. This is an interesting one. Come right up and let's hear what you have to say, sir.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This started out pretty innocent. The intent was exactly to comply with the rules as they exist. We have I have a sister-in-law that is living in a nursing home, and so our intent was to move her into our home. The only attendant is my wife that takes care of her sister and visits her on occasion. So it was going to be just that, where we would take the structure that's already existing in the back and do exactly what the rules called for. As an attendant, or we're going to have to bring occasional medical service and whatever. It just so happens that the plan didn't quite develop where she would move into our home. So the light went off on this one, and we thought, well, let's talk about the possibility of her moving in this deal. So I read a script because I can talk forever. So I had to write something down so I could just read it. If you don't mind. I passed a picture around for the existing building that's in behind in my backyard. So if y'all don't mind, I'm going to read this script so I don't get off. All right. Just for starters, I always follow the rules. Okay. In the last 27 years, my wife and I bought and remodeled 8 homes in Castle Hills, 5 alone on my street, Townview Drive. They've all been remodeled and updated to code under the direction and guidance of the Castle Hills Permitting Office. 12 years ago, I inquired about a storage building to build behind my present home, 105 Townview Drive, the picture that y'all have. In order to comply with the city ordinances, I spent $15,000 instead of $3,000 to do that right. It's in compliance and it was coded. It had to match my home. I don't know the specs at the time. I don't know if they're the same. I had a 3/4 brick and whatever, but you see the pictures of our mini storage back there. I was told it had to match the design of the house. I did that. I theoretically own the most expensive storage building in anyone's backyard at Castle Hills, and really proud of it. Intimidated by the compliance officer, I sought the original manufacturer of the original brick to our 60-year-old home and found them in D'Hanis, Texas. The storage unit really looks and really matches the house. Recently, due to some unfortunate news, my sister-in-law, whose only sister here in Texas is my wife, was confined to a nursing home. And when your sister-in-law is poor, I can't tell you how miserable their living conditions are. I'm sure a lot of people understand that. So we've cared for her dog this whole time. My wife and I own, some of y'all may know this, a lot of properties, about 40 properties around the city. Well, after a year of no luck, my wife asked if we could move her into our home. We thought about that and realized the challenges that go with that. But then the idea of the mini house we built and rang a bell. After studying the plan, I requested permission to qualify that so-called mini house into a living quarters for her. I answered the questions truthfully and was denied in less than 30 seconds. Here I am today asking the city to consider our request to converting our brick building back there into a small ADA compatible unit for my wife's family or sister needing our help. I was told that I could modify it if I stated for the record that it would be used for the attendant that would care for her. Or better yet, I was told that it would be okay if we were using it for a servant. I'm not sure why the discrepancy, however, I'm guessing so that it was not intended to be used for a rental income or Airbnb or whatever. I'd like to make the following statement here. My personal interest is to make my wife's life a little bit easier, not have to travel 2-3 times a week to check on her sister since no one else can. And then my wife's only interest is to offer better living conditions and better care for her. Now, we know that we would have to continue paying for an attendant to visit her, but hopefully not to have to stay there. And finally, I would say this, and I mean this sincerely, if I'm granted permission to convert this into that usable one for our sister-in-law, and I would state for the record that under the oath that if God calls on my sister-in-law while living there, I would terminate the intent of the original plan and advise the city as such. So it is what the original intent was, to put her in our home somehow. And then have to put somebody out there. Right now, she doesn't really need that full time. But right now, that's really where I'm at. So I don't know. I think the intent, I like the intent of the rule. I realize that, yeah, you don't want your neighbors and everybody's got activity going on. And now all the new Airbnb stuff that goes on and rentals and who knows what's going on. But this had the right intent. It does have the right intent. And it would have been easy for me to say, yes, we're moving her into our home, and the occasional tenant has to stay there. The house does not, I don't have to touch the house on the exterior. You see the pictures? It's amazing. And it's in compliance. And of course, my neighbors have no issues with any of that. We talk to everybody. The thing is that we wouldn't touch anything except replace an overhead door with a double door. And the interior, we just have to modify it to be livable. It's not a living quarters. It does
Thank you,
have
Mr.
water,
Mary.
but we have-
Let me, I'm gonna cut you off only for one reason, to give people a chance to ask you a few
Sure, sure.
questions. Mr. Mary, one question. What is your sister-in-law's name, please?
Carol.
And her last name?
Lang, Lange.
One more time, I'm sorry.
We're
Carol.
Lange, Lange.
Okay, thank you. There is a motion on the table and it has been seconded. I would like to propose amendment to the main motion that would be voted on first on the amendment. And then we can have some discussion. I would like to amend the motion that this variance will last so long as the lifetime of Carol Lange and not a moment more, at which time
Appreciate that.
she becomes deceased. This variance will also become deceased and it will go back to the intent of ordinance. Mr. Lange, this board, we listen, we try to
I'm not
work.
Lang-
Oh, I'm
not
sorry.
Lang. It's okay,
Please,
Mary.
forgive me. Mr. Mary, this board tries to do the very best we can for the residents of Castle Hills under the somewhat variances that come before us. At the same time, we want to make sure that we do not, on a permanent basis, or even encroach upon the powers of the zoning board and their original intent of certain issues that face our city.
Right.
That is why I felt very strongly that if this was to move forward, which in my opinion, it is a very just and proper use. However, I also further believe it would need this amendment for us to move forward with this. So basing this on just the amendment only, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. It is unanimous. Now, Mr. Lopez, do you have any questions for Mr. Mary?
No, I'm really familiar with that house and I appreciate all the work you've done to it. It was a really bad hoarder house and it's looking really good. So but the amendment answered my question.
Cassidy, any
I
questions?
can't take any credit for that. My wife lives in the backyard. That's her house.
Cassidy? Thank you. No questions, Justin? Thank you. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye, it's approved, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir, sure.
In the event that we want to go back to its original intent, if for some reason we were to be able to figure a way to bring her into the house, obviously I know, would I have to come back and clear that?
No,
The
I
state
don't think so.
for the
I
disturbance
think
to
it
be
has
back
to
there?
do with, and Louis, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the way that if you were going to use it for some unapproved purpose,
Right,
you would have to come back before us.
right.
But as far as it, you move her in the house and you're not really doing anything else with it that is non-compliant.
I didn't know if I had, if we went back to the original intent of moving her into the house, putting a servant back there like it's the rule.
No,
Would
no, this,
I have to deal with that? Yeah.
this just, all this variance does is allow her to live as a primary resident in that,
Right.
in that structure. Is that where we are? And if we need to clean that up, Eddie, let us know, Louis.
No, that's fine, sir. And actually, I can actually clean it up a little bit on language, taking out kind of the deceased languages for the use.
Sure,
of the name,
absolutely, whatever you want to
and
do.
just leave it at that.
But the intent of the board is to grant her the ability to live there while she's alive. Okay, thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mary. Number 9. Last but not least, public hearing on an application from Zach Zurich. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. To construct a fixed 6-foot wrought iron electric swinging gate, mesh wire game wrench fence, down on the end of Hibiscus Lane on a flag lot. We're going to open the public hearing. It is now 6:01. Is there anyone in the group that would like to speak on that item? Anyone wish to speak on that item? Since there's no one to speak on that item, it is now 6:01 and a half, and we are closing the public hearing portion, and we're going to open the standard portion of the agenda. Is there a motion on the table for this? Mr. Lopez has made the motion. Is there a second? Thank you. Justin has made the second. Mr. Zurich, you're welcome to come down and tell us everything you want, or you don't have to. Which one would you prefer? Come on down. Since you put a picture of my gate in the package, I figured you ought to say something.
Well, I was just gonna say, in the interest of everybody's time, I can sit back down, but thank you for all of y'all's time. If anybody has any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Yes, do you know where this is? Yeah, okay. Do you have any questions on this one? Do you have any questions? I don't either.
Okay.
You're building a really nice house and it's great. You need a gate to keep all the varmints out. It's been made and put on the table. All in favor, say aye. It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Being that there's no further business in front of the Board of Adjust, are y'all just here to visit or are y'all just watching? Yes, sir. That's correct. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to go past you on that one. Okay. If there's no further business in front of the board, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for your time.